Guam or
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah, that's all
Do
right.
both shots. You
Well,
forgot.
we have special ways of dealing with these things. So I have to fake my energy today. I need the generally. I need a little boost here.
The crowd can give you the boost. Come on,
Yeah.
guys. It's like,
Hey, Tyler,
Okay.
put on a little bit of music. Get the energy moving.
Yeah.
yeah, just
Whew.
give Tyler
Oh
some
my God.
energy, guys.
I feel like I'm wearing like a
Yeah,
huge
mahogany.
thir-
Get your headline or something.
30 kilogram vest on or something. And I'm like,
Armor.
If you need to rest, we understand.
I'm half asleep.
Oh, we
So
can we
this,
can we can call this
We got
off.
your back. Let's do this.
We can call
oh,
this off.
we're not
And do it
calling
next
this off,
time.
Cheryl. How dare you?
Okay.
We're doing
Yeah.
Gambatte.
Gambarimasu. Okay.
Not getting things more addictive, Tyler. I was actually thinking, like, we really, some of us regulars, you always throw us up, but if you had one day where we raised our hands and you happened to not bring us up, oh my God, we would be hooked forever. Like, we'd be following you everywhere like a puppy dog.
Okay, let's do somebody new. Anyone know this RF Hassan? Conscious with teeth to bite is his bio. RF.
Want to take some risk with him?
Do we want to roll the dice on RF Hassan?
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this.
roll
All
the
right.
dice.
Let's welcome RF to the
Okay,
stage.
RF,
Let's go for
RF,
it.
my friend.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Living life
RF.
on the edge.
Oh, he's not coming up.
No, we
RF,
scared him away.
we
Okay.
need your teeth to bite.
Yeah. Conscious with
Oh,
teeth
no.
to bite. Okay. So, welcome to Tech News Around the World, where everyone on stage joins basically every day and a lot of the people in the audience also join on stage whenever they feel like it. You're all welcome. And let's get into it. I'm going to power through this COVID vaccine ass kicking that I'm enduring. So the biggest news right now, which I wish I had seen 12 hours ago when it was breaking, is that Apple and Goldman Sachs, hold on, I need my special sound effect for this one. Apple and Goldman Sachs are partnering on something. Anyone want to guess what they're partnering on?
Oh, I got this one. It's juicy, though.
It's it is about data. They are working on buy now, pay later service to let customers pay for any Apple purchase in installments, to rival Affirm service to let users pay off any Apple Pay purchase over time. A fresh partnership with Apple could boost Goldman consumer push. To let you pay.
Yeah, I think
Tyler,
this extends. Aaron will know this. This extends the relationship they started a while ago, right, Aaron? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, on the card side, and ironically, I was going to tweet this, but I have to be careful because I was actually approached by both Apple and Goldman for this project about 8-10 months ago, before it was public knowledge, and to look into this, so it's quite interesting.
They're calling it Apple Pay Later service.
Tyler,
yes.
Quickly, the Apple Card is already by Goldman Sachs, so
right.
they already.
No, that's it. Yeah, but now you've got the installment thing built into that, by the sounds of it.
But they're saying this is not part of the, because I'm the one who tweeted one of the ones I know. I tweeted the article to you, Tyler. I think it said that it's not part of the Apple Pay card. It just happens to be Goldman, but it's separate. Yeah.
Right. So, but it does highlight how powerful this is. And by the way, and Aaron, help us figure this out. Apple has always had the opportunity so that how you have the App Store, right? And the App Store is basically a marketplace of digital goods that Apple has carefully curated for you, so you need not worry if there's hackers and etc. Right? Like a shopping mall, where imagine the shopping mall says, you know what? We've verified that all these products are what they say they are. So now the question is, couldn't Apple partner with physical companies like IKEA and allow you to use Apple Pay like you pay for software on your phone? You could go buy a chair at IKEA as if it was an app. And then you go to a restaurant, you're eating with your friends, and this is, I don't know, what's a Starbucks would likely partner with Apple, actually. They got quite a bit of friends between them. And now at Starbucks, you're going through, and you could use your Apple Pay button. Anything would have a QR code that you scan. It's like you have choices of how to pay. You can pay with PayPal or your credit card on file or your Apple Card or Apple Pay, right? I'm curious why Apple has this huge potential to bring all of their Apple fans to do partnerships, and they've not done that. And I know that banks have been worried about the possibility of Apple acting more like a bank, and I know this for a fact because many banks, as you know, Aaron, sponsor my big festivals, namely the Nordic banks. And at one point, I've had Nordea for a year, which is the largest in the Nordics. Swedbank I've had for several years. I had SEB at some point, and now I have Danske Bank as my partner for my events, my monthly events. And when we talk about the future of tech, when you ask them what are they most worried about, they're honestly most worried about Apple jumping into acting like a bank.
Yeah, when I was at Mastercard, and when Mastercard signed with Apple and Visa to create Apple Pay back in 2012, it was known in the company that we were signing with our biggest future enemy. We knew that at the time, but it was a case we had to do it because we had to make it real. Like, we had to bring Apple Pay to the world, and we knew iBank, or whatever they may call it, of the future will appear. But right now, remember, Apple get bips on every single Apple Pay transaction that your card is issued behind, right? And so they make a lot of revenue from all the banks. If they go and tie up with a retail partnership, then from a retail partnership, they may have to give away some of that revenue generated. They may have to, hand it over, because they certainly won't want to burden the consumer with more money, more cost involved. So right now, Apple Pay has what you say because it's built into Apple Pay. And this announcement on Pay Later is just a function of Apple Pay, which is it will allow you to buy your Starbucks coffee in Starbucks and just pay it over 4 installments. So your $5 coffee now becomes $1.25 over the next 4 weeks.
And what else is in this article? Apple developing Apple Pay Later service. I guess that they get some data benefit in doing this in some way. Is there some what they do mention Affirm, and let me unpack this for a second. You have Klarna in Stockholm, which is considered sort of a pioneer, or the who popularized this whole buy now pay later thing, and it's unbelievably popular in Scandinavia, as Johan will confirm for you.
So Tyler,
Yes. Hold on.
so on this
Hold that
particular,
thought, Krim.
sure.
Then Affirm, which is Max Levchin, who was a co-founder of PayPal, saw Klarna and said, that's what I should be doing with the rest of my life. I should be doing that. That model is genius. So Max copied Klarna to do Affirm in the US, and Affirm is now publicly traded, so you can buy shares in Affirm. And this article, I own shares in Affirm, and all of a sudden I get a notification on Robinhood that Affirm dropped 10%, like in the middle of nowhere, and I look at the chart, like, holy shit, it just took a big old drop, like an instantaneous middle of the day 10% drop, and which looks more like a Bitcoin move when Elon Musk tweets something about Bitcoin or something. It was like, what's going on? So I was like, something just happened to Affirm. I was Googling Affirm, I couldn't find anything. Now I know what it is. It was this Apple partnership. People think this will have negative pressure on Affirm. I don't think it will at all, from what I can gather. In fact, I think it could be net positive for Affirm, just driving people's awareness of this business model in the U.S., where Affirm is kind of focused. Anyway, but it's interesting to see how many people are getting into this game. Go ahead, Karim.
So basically, let me give you a scenario. So you have to buy a MacBook Air or Pro. So it's going to actually cost you about, let's say, $999. Now, what happens is that Apple prices cannot be discounted. So it cannot be actually retail price, cannot be $100 cheaper on the Black Friday deal or something like that. So what happens is that Best Buy says is retailed as $9.99, but we offering a discount, a special pricing, and you cannot actually put that as $8.99. So they say, come into our store, and we're going to give you the discounted Apple MacBook Air or Pro, whatever you want to buy, any Apple product. Now, the people actually go to the Best Buy, because Best Buy with the card actually offering anything you buy from $2.99 is going to be spread over 6 months. And if you're spending $1,000 or plus, it's going to be spread over a year or 18 months. So here comes the scenario where you don't go to the Apple to buy those products, you go to the Best Buy because you can actually spread the costs through the Best Buy card, which automatically gives you that whatever the amount you actually spend on is going to be spread over certain months. So now Apple coming in saying, why don't you come to us and buy that directly from us over the installments? So that's the scenario.
But
I would actually see that there's also a different spin. We've invested in a company called Movired in Colombia, and that company gives credits to people, $5, no question asked, with an app, to anyone, no bank account, no history, nothing. And then uses the data over time to see which are the ones which have a good credit rating, and build that over time. So if you look at here, you could also see it the opposite. If Apple provides just through data, with, let's say, Goldman behind, credit to people around the world, just based on their data and history, you would have a wallet which could be very powerful and much larger than $5, but really big time consumer spending boosted because of data-driven credit at any moment instantly. So I think this is extremely powerful.
I hear both of these, and just to throw it into the debate, I disagree. I don't think Apple are looking down the line of credit scoring, FICO scoring. I don't think they're trying to do offers. If anything, just to be very, very clear, this is the new credit card. What's happening now with Buy Now, Pay Later is the reinvention of the credit card that MasterCard and Visa brought out 75 years ago. So what you're seeing here is Apple looking at revenue, and Apple looking at people will pay today interest free, they'll spread their money. But when people default, as people do default on credit, whether it's a form of a loan, a form of credit card or whatever, what you're going to see here is Apple offer one of the lowest credit rates going forward, but still generate a ton load of revenue from this, because this is the Apple Pay Later is the new credit card of the future.
But Aaron,
Well,
in this
Aaron,
case,
yeah.
could I just share one thing about what Aaron's saying, which I would agree with, is this is this is an iteration where I get to start to age myself. This is an iteration of the layaway plans that some of the stores used to do back in the 70s and 80s, which allowed the store to hold on to the revenue from the product, because this is before credit cards really went and started giving them to 18-year-olds. Basically, this is how United States became a credit card nation, because everyone was given credit cards at young ages. But before that, there was something in the early 70s when I was a little girl that was called layaway, where you would put a certain amount of money down and you would get to take the product when you were finished paying it off. But in the context of this buy now, pay later, it does allow Apple to sort of keep the customer, the loyalty of the customer, because the customer now is programmed to see, oh, they are really helping me. And they would be more conditioned to paying that off because they're getting a value of the actual product that they could use, versus a credit card that is in essence a retail product. And that's the biggest challenge in the United States, is that credit cards are being defaulted on like the dominoes right now.
So,
Can I? Oh, sorry, Ken. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I had tried to make this point. I think the last time this came up, and I think I know I sent Tyler a private thing on it. 'Cause, not only is this like a layaway plan, layaway plans are even older than the 70s. The
I
difference, of
know. I
course.
just wanted to make myself younger, Ken.
Okay, no, you are younger, because my father's 90 and they had layaway plans when he was, it's that old, so it's okay. Um, the point I wanted to make is that this is only possible, these new things that you're seeing, because rates are so low, because there's no, the yield curve is where short-term rates are zero. Typically on a credit card, okay, if you look at a typical credit card, most people don't realize it. It's designed so that it fully amortizes whatever you purchase. It should be paid off in 3 years. Okay, but they're getting interest. They're getting interest, and there's a yield curve. So we're just in this crazy world now of zero interest rates that has made this possible. And all they're doing is they're shortening the amortization down to a year to deal with the fact that they don't want to be that far out on the yield curve
Right.
because they're not going to. So it's so that was pretty much my point on that. It's not.
One other possible thought here is that if you are buying an Apple product, like a laptop or a phone, Apple can control that device. And if you, as Aaron, as you said, if somebody doesn't make their second or third payment, your thing becomes bricked, and it says, go ahead and enter your payment info here. We can charge your credit card, we can charge your PayPal account, whatever, but we can brick your device until you make the second or third or fourth payment.
The thing is if you're buying a Starbucks and spreading it out, the fact that you need to do that, the data about you is probably very valuable to certain advertisers, certain, unscrupulous lenders, etc. And so, like, I think that's the other element too, is that they're able to get these very incremental snapshots of the health of a consumer without having to do the hard credit pulls, etc. You get these little nibbles. Like if someone's buying a dinner that's $80 and they're spreading it out, I get it. But if they're buying a Starbucks and having to spread it out, you really kind of start to wonder what kind of financial position they're in.
See, I'm not sure about that, Chris, actually, because I was thinking about that, and I think the younger generation nowadays, I think, want to kind of balance their money better. So, for example, everyone has not everyone. A lot of people have regular standard incomes that get paid every month, say, right, or every week on wages, and if I know that the software, I think this is Apple's step to really.
I'm hearing you now, Aaron. Yeah.
So I think this is Apple's step into the future of software personal assistants. I think this is where someone's looking at my entire finances over the year and saying, you spend, let's say, Chris, you spend $2,000 on coffee at Starbucks. I don't need to spend that $5 for every single coffee that I get. If it's $5 at a time, I can spread that out over $1.25 and still have that spread bet, but it cuts my income across 12 months rather than I might go on a coffee buzz for 6 months and then off for coffee buzz for 6 months. So for me, this is just personal assistance through my finances. And this is just Apple getting into a closed ecosystem. They're very much positioned themselves in support of their customers of a closed ecosystem around privacy. They're not doing this as a data play. This is a reputational brand play to bring people back into their closed ecosystem.
This is Shaheen. How is this different from existing credit card? I mean, American Express already lets you do installment plans for specific items by just clicking and saying, I want to pay it now or I want to pay it later. The whole notion of a credit card is that you buy now and you pay later. How's this different? Except I think it's just a beautiful marketing ploy with maybe a little bit of variation here and there. No?
I
What am I
agree.
missing?
Another
I agree with that. Yes.
another fundamental difference. I don't know, Aaron, you know that or not, but when you actually apply for the Apple Card, there is a soft pull. It's not even a hard pull from your credit history. So for normal credit card, you actually apply for it, and there is a hard pull, which means that it's going to be on the credit history that you have applied for it. When you apply for the Apple Card, there is no hard pull. So they are just on spree to sort of like give it to everybody, which
Aaron,
means that it's a soft pull and it doesn't go in your credit card history.
Aaron, could I ask you a really random question? Because something just came up for me because I'm an American that lives in Europe. And I've noticed something that could actually be fixed by this or actually be mitigated and actually give them more customers globally. Because if they do that, wouldn't they be able to allow that buy now, spread those payments over time internationally? Because right now, like me as an American, can't. They won't give me that availability in Europe at an Apple store, but I could get it in the US. Is there the possibility that they now can make that ecosystem closed as you stated and allows anyone that buys a product anywhere worldwide can have that buy now, pay later? Is that possible?
It depends on who issues the credit, because in effect, this is credit, right? So with the work with Goldman and what they've said here is it's Goldman's going to support this. It's where Goldman has the regulatory authority to
But
issue.
Goldman's in London as well.
Correct. So when you say internationally, it's not like it's because Apple is international, right? It's in most countries in the world. So it depends who's behind the issue of this as a form of credit. Because the Shaheen's point is, isn't this just like a credit card? It is. It absolutely is. Like in my world, when fintech product, this is just functionality. This isn't a new solution. This isn't a new product. This is just a function of what already exists, which is a line of credit. All they're doing is they're giving the control back to the user to a degree. You know, the article I think talks about, if I remember correctly, pay by 4, and that leverages what PayPal are doing with pay by 3. This all just at the moment sits under regulation. Credit is regulated in a lot of, Western societies. And so from that perspective, this will sit under that regulation at the minute. Afterpay are seeing that in Australia, Klarna are seeing that in Europe. And so, Apple will play along with regulation where possible. And that means getting an issuer of credit to support this. They are not an issuer of record.
But what
And
is
in
it?
terms of
What is
the
this?
decision,
Your
can I just
perspective.
say one thing just quickly on this, to Amy's point, in terms of how these companies would make a decision on whether they would make the effort to pull together a global, experience for somebody like you, right, would depend on, it's simple. We had this when we were going to Mexico from Best Buy, I mean, and Canada and different things and various propositions, not just financing, but yeah, for example, guarantees on products, etc. Right? Well, it depends how big a use case it is. How what's your segmentation? How many Amy's are there, right? And if there is large enough, Apple will figure it out. They'll start to work it. But there's, to Aaron's point, you're now dealing with different regulatory authorities and things like that. So yeah, sorry, who did I interrupt?
Yeah, me, Borna.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm thinking kind of in different ways here. Like I'm thinking, this is significant that obviously whatever Apple does, the rest of the ecosystem pays attention very carefully. And I'm looking at Android. So what will Google do? Because obviously once Apple Pay came out, there was also Google Pay, right? So I kind of look at both. And the other aspect is that when you look at like the rest of the world internationally, particularly emerging markets, there is no like for many there is no credit card. So it's not like the future of credit card. This is the leapfrog into credit for many potentially billions of users who don't have the formal credit card system, right? So I'm in Tanzania now. I was in Kenya, and the thing is, back to Apple again, is like people aspire to have Apple products here, right? And I have been, I know Cheryl and others know from the fintech room, been asking about BNPL, like screaming like, let's do a BNPL room for Africa, because it's coming. I'm seeing tons of deal flow. And I estimate now there's probably about $250 million, maybe even $1 billion being lent in short-term credit. I've probably seen, Tyler knows,
Yep.
all these new fintechs, neobanks that are coming out doing lending in Nigeria, etc. I've been realizing that a lot of these consumers, they want Apple products, but they just can't afford them. But if they could stretch it over, it's an aspirational product. If they could stretch it over a couple of, a month or so, they absolutely would buy it. You see that immediately in emerging markets. As soon as someone can afford an Apple product, they really want it, but it's really expensive otherwise, right? In their local currency or even just dollar denominated if it's imported. So I actually think this is interesting for emerging markets down the line and extending the incremental revenue for Apple and others to leapfrog the credit system in emerging markets. Never mind what people are doing now in developed markets. I get it. There's also demographic shift. The younger generation don't want to have credit cards. They prefer the buy now, pay later aspects for things like fashion, etc. But I think there's that. I think that aspect to kind of watch going forward. What does Google do, working with other lenders in emerging markets to try and one up Apple here? But Apple also benefit because they could make more money from places like Nigeria, Brazil, Kenya, etc.
Buana, can I add to that just a little bit?
Tal, if I can comment a little bit.
Go ahead.
I just fail to see what the big deal is here. To me, this is a completely what I call a Seinfeld launch. It's a launch about nothing. I don't know what is different. What is it?
Shaheen, that's good. Let me help. Maybe I'll put this in there, and then you guys can discuss.
Go ahead.
One of the things that even back when I was at Best Buy, one of the big strategic things we used to always talk about, and we even tried to implement this with the the tools of the day, right? And the tools are changing now. Is the idea that technology is effectively, because of the cycle of technology and how quickly things change, every year you got a new iPhone, every year you've got a new piece of, even if you buy a vacuum cleaner from Dyson, Dyson's coming out with, version 7, 8, 9. You've now got air purifiers that just, get better and better air purifying in different places. So the technology cycles are going quick. So consumers are now getting stuck with these products. They buy one and then the next year they get the product that actually does what they want or something, or has this little feature, that specific feature that you want. You buy an Apple Watch and you want to show off you have an Apple Watch, but the next year you've got one that displays all the time. And if for some reason you're an ego boosted guy or somebody and you want that, so now suddenly you're going to have to buy a new watch. So dealing with that strategically, we sat there talking about this like massively at the executive level at Best Buy. Like, how do you get this? Because we saw this with consumers, and it was, if we want to be there for consumers, what do? We need to kind of effectively guarantee them the latest technology for a monthly price, right? So now you have the take back issue. So what happens with the old product? So we had the whole Geek Squad thing, and we'd take back a product and then we'd give them a price for it. And Apple's been doing that for a while, by the way, if you notice, or right? You can sell your products to Apple, or they'll take something back and they'll give you a price for it. You put your code in there, you give your price. So we had the whole, we were thinking about how do we just literally say, for £20 a month, do a deal with the operators, you get the latest phone. And when it comes out, you get it. You just get it, full stop. And that's all you have to worry about. The phone arrives, you're good, it's working. The customer proposition on that, we found again and again, talking to our customers and all, marketing stuff, very, very compelling, very compelling. The challenge was getting the entire industry working for you. Like if it's a phone, you got to get the operators' business models working in that way, and then you've got to deal with what happens with the second products. But it works because you might get. And for Apple right now, you can buy cheaper products, right? So my kids buy, upgraded Apple products or things that are refurbished. That's just what they as they're growing up live with, and they're pretty good products. They last a long time. They do. So
Same
I
here,
see this
Cal.
goes. This goes, Shaheen, I think, towards the strategy of now you just start to get, you get a subscription to Apple and your products arrive, right, on
But
a monthly basis.
is this like a microcredit that without a credit card, I get credit without a credit card, without sort of the freedom to spend on other things? It's just this one thing. Is that how I can think
Well, I
about
mean,
it?
just put yourself on the other side from a consumer perspective. What you start, which is what Amy was doing a little bit with the layaway thought, right? If you go to the consumer side and you work back again, and you're sitting there going, oh, $50 a month, right? Just go there, and then you think about what Apple has to do to make the engineering work, right? The whole ecosystem, business model work. But if you think from a consumer perspective, you look at $50 a month, I get the latest phone, and I'm good. That's all I get, right? So
But that's
now,
just paying on installment. I mean, that's
but
most
no,
of the
no, no.
world buys their appliances with
But
installment.
Shaheen, 1 second, just put for. I get you're coming at it from one angle, from the. So what I'm suggesting, just as a hypothesis, there's one angle, fine. There's it's credit, and how are they going to not charge interest, etc. I get that angle, right? We've just had that. I'm just giving another angle, which if you're Apple and you're thinking how, and you're strategically thinking, how do I give consumers guarantee that they have the latest product, right? You're going to have to start engineering something in. And then now they're looking at the layaway plan, or not the layaway, the installment plan. Okay, that's a good start, right? Now I can say that's 4. Maybe they'll extend that to 12, right? And then you extend that. And so now you're starting to build a model and getting everyone accustomed to the fact that and they'll build in, like you said, Shaheen, I mean, they'll build in the margins in the price, right? In the $50, $52, $53.
Yeah, yeah.
My point is it's sometimes innovations from a consumer side look really simple and you kind of go, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But it changes the fundamental way people consume something. So I'm done for now. Sorry. Just wanted to put that
I
out
see.
there.
No, I believe I understand. You are saying that even if financially it's like the same sort of engineering, the impact on consumers' behavior could be unpredictably different.
Yes, that's all. Yeah,
And
thanks.
that's a wonderful
I was
lever in
going
the market.
For me, for example, just a very simple way is when I was a college student, which is a while back, that I was qualified for a credit card that was only $1,000 limit. So the things I can buy was very, very limited. But just because somebody was mentioning that the way they qualify customers is a bit different, now I remember I was able to qualify for a department store to buy something that was worth more than 1,000. So I think there are different ways customers may be able to benefit that as credit card may not be able to serve every customer. And one thing I was going to add, a different perspective that Mbwana said is that in Africa, regulation may be an issue because I think in Kenya, especially the buy one and buy now pay later has been creating a little bit of a problem because I think especially micro businesses that have been getting a lot of small ticket kind of loans are borrowing from one to pay the other one, and then the other one, and then the other one. So the government has been saying that they may have to do something. So I think stores and lenders will have to come up with the different engineering, like Carl was saying, in order to serve the customers in a better way. I'm done speaking.
Okay.
The department store analogy is really interesting, by the way, because one of the reasons department stores do credit cards is because they don't want to pay the merchant fees. So one of the things we haven't really discussed is that Visa and MasterCard and the underlying banks effectively charge anywhere from roughly, I think, 1.5–2% of every transaction. And a lot of retailers don't like that because it cuts into their profits, which is very often why if you went into a mom and pop retailer, even like a dry cleaner, and you pay them cash, they'll give you a different price than if you pay with a credit card. And so that there's probably some element of that here as well. And certainly for an Apple product, if you were going to buy an Apple, an iPhone or any other Apple product, they would rather not have to pay the merchant fee to Visa. So that's another benefit they would get from this.
Okay.
So
The
this Tyler, is this product can only be used for to buy Apple products, or there's
So at the
potential to class?
moment, that's how they're positioning it. Yeah, but I think the opportunity is they could do all kinds of incredibly interesting partnerships.
I think there's definitely data in play because there are, as to Shahin's point, an American Express can read your consolidated bank statement and can basically look at your distribution of spend, which Apple Pay as of now can't do it, but they actually would want to see it, how much of, and so based on that requirement, that
Yeah,
spend distribution they can.
I think it might be a test that they can do it with their own products first and optimize it. What do you think of that possibility, Aaron?
I hear a lot of these, and I even hear Mubana saying about emerging markets, but that's not an Apple customer. An Apple customer, Apple is a premium brand. They're a marketing company first and foremost. It's a premium brand. Their ideal customer is a younger generation with, positive, healthy income. That what we're going to see, I think, with this is we're going to see younger people use Apple Pay as a wallet card, right? So the Apple Card with Pay Later. You're going to see people use Apple Pay buttons, where you're going to see this single button checkout for Apple, and again Pay Later. And what you're going to see is you're going to see Apple get into the personal assistance of your finances and say, oh, you spent $250 last month on this, retail product, but you don't need to spend that at the end of this month. You can spread that out because, at the moment, this month, you're going on vacation and you've spent $2,000 more than you normally would. So we're going to spread this out. And this isn't just about standard APR, this isn't just about standard credit. This is about personalized credit. This is about giving you full control over your finances. This is about giving you an understanding that, just because you bought something in January doesn't mean you have to pay it off in January or February. You can spread this out. And this personal financial assistant, I think, is the future where Apple's going forward with people's finances and how they're going to get them trusted into the brand again.
Yeah.
One more
So,
thing
yep.
on this
Final
particular
word.
point. Yeah, final on that. Other credit cards are actually, Discover, for instance, give like about 5% deals on, quarterly sign up for the restaurant or the meal. So just to give you an example, I mean, just by looking at my statement, it get unlimited 3% back at Panera, 3% back at Exxon and Mobile Station, and all those offers are coming in that as soon as you actually use the Apple Card, you're going to be accumulating points. So 3% back, 5% back, 2% back on those particular transactions.
Okay, so there is one item. Coincidentally, they announced this at the same time that they just announced this incredibly cool new battery, extended battery that snaps onto the back of your new iPhone, and it's Apple's own MagSafe battery pack for the iPhone 12. And with a total capacity of about 1,500 milliamp hours, which is about half the size of your phone's battery. So it gives you an extra 50%. And it arrives on July 19th in a very clever, beautiful little snap-on battery, magnetic snap-on battery for the back of your phone.
And that's so awesome because that actually, now actually answers that range question a lot of people have, right? Hopefully it'll like allow you to still use the device while it's charging, or hopefully, does you don't have
Sure.
any downtime, so to speak.
Right. What I want to know is if you charge your phone with the cable with that on, does it charge both simultaneously? Because then people would leave it on if they're power users. And other big news at the moment is the big ransomware gang out of Russia called Revil. The Revil's infrastructure and website are now offline, including its data leak sites, less than 2 weeks after attacking 1,500 businesses with ransomware via Kaseya. The infrastructure and websites have gone offline as of last night. And the New York Times headline is, Russia's most aggressive ransomware group has disappeared. It's unclear who made that happen. MIT Tech Review says the world's biggest ransomware gang has disappeared from the internet. Politico says Russian gang blamed for global ransomware attacks vanishes from the web. And CNBC and Bloomberg and BBC and everybody's talking about this. It's kind of now the hunt is on. It's curious because Biden did recently call Putin to tell him to knock the shit out. And so curious to know if the Kremlin got involved. That seems like the logical idea. Is Johan, are you on stage? Is he? No, he's not.
I was hoping you were going to say Vladdy. What do you call him?
Big Vladdy Daddy?
Dave, how do you think that phone call went, Dave? Like, what do you think? Like,
listen, Joe Biden, call me, tell me you do not good. So why you do this?
Go on naughty step.
Yeah.
I love it, Tyler. Whenever, even if you're a little sick, it's still you can be funny. It's good.
It's so the moving right along.
Hey, Tyler, there was one quick add on to that one. So I tweeted it out there. So UK public at risk from hostile state threats, says MI5 chief Ken McCallum. So this came out 6 hours ago on the BBC. Just a little kind of adjunct onto that one, which kind of goes into all the stuff that we've been talking on here about. They sort of recap the colonial pipeline. They talk about the different attacks. They talk about the state actors. They're kind of but the interesting thing for this community is that they're really MI5 have come out with this sort of like strategy for combating it over LinkedIn, where they've got these like 4 R's of recognize, realize, report, and remove. I.e., there are state actors that are kind of people going undercover on LinkedIn, hitting people up, fake profiles, putting forward some sort of stuff being powered by those underground. And this guy Ken McCallum's coming out with some stuff to just warn people. So I thought it was really cool from MI5 that they're sort of stepping into this and trying to.
So as they warn people, what do people do though? Because I recently saw a profile on LinkedIn, and you won't believe how much effort this person had made to make it fake. I literally, you can't tell. It's like they pretended it was another company, right? Put in a whole bunch of stuff in there, even created fake employees, right? like, because when you go and check who else is employed there, because it's one of the first things I
Yeah.
do, right? Because that's a good check on LinkedIn, like who else is employed there. Then you can see 2 or 3 other people, and you go, maybe that's legit. That person works there. Why would they lie? Because other people there. But they allow. So what would they do? Would they go into LinkedIn and take them out,
Yeah.
or yeah?
Well, I think in one instance that I read of last night, they identified one guy who was really really active from a China perspective, and they did this guy did get removed, but it looks like self-service, Cal, from what I've read so far. I.e., they're just trying to raise awareness that this happens, because I think if we were to survey like 100 people in the UK and say, hey, do you know that it's possible that you could be interacting with someone from Russia or China or blah? I think that most would say, I'd never even thought of that. So is my perception, Cal, but there's no real
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
there's
So
no,
they're just making people aware. Yeah.
yeah, it's just an awareness campaign. There's no like prescription for what to do, but I think they're just like, they don't want people, it's awareness at the moment is what I've read.
Okay. So other headlines, the biggest top 10 headlines at the moment, we've kind of done the top 4. The 5th biggest is that Facebook is rolling out the ability for group administrators to designate group experts, partly in an effort to help Facebook combat misinformation. The social network has been trying to combat misinformation by elevating authoritative sources. So now as a group admin, you can make somebody a group expert without giving them admin permissions. And yeah, that makes sense. Everyone can see who knows the most in the group on that topic. Kind of helpful. And it relates to a much bigger topic. For example, watch how these next few headlines all kind of tie together. Discord, which is where a lot of folks like to hang out and do audio chat and text chat. They recently did clone Clubhouse inside of Discord, although they were already doing audio chat, honestly. And Discord buys a startup called Centropy, which emerged from stealth last summer with AI-powered moderation software to fight online abuse, and $13 million in funding, and the online chat platform Discord is buying Sentry. So they want to use the AI-powered moderation. Okay, right, because everyone's going to need that. If you've got a lot of users, you can't do it all manually. You need AIs to preemptively, intelligently do the moderation of who's being an asshole and who to kind of silence and mute and whatever. Then the World Wide Web Consortium, the headline says, inside the World Wide Web Consortium, as members debate the future of online privacy, with browser engineers often at odds with companies that rely on tracking. But we are really coming into an interesting moment in this whole issue of identity and moderation, and we went on about it yesterday. But it seems, these apps are now have this huge task of doing impossible moderation differently in every country, as India has demands, that they're forcing all the apps to comply with. Russia has different demands. Pakistan now also is forcing people to open offices on the ground in Karachi. Moscow is forcing all of the apps to open offices on the ground with local representatives. And they're all going to have their own unique compliance loopholes that everyone's got to jump through. And using algorithmic AI-powered, software to do moderation and remove online harassment and hate and things that the government doesn't like, it's going to start to become a real headache. And that's why Google's CEO yesterday told the BBC he's worried about the balkanization of the internet as we know it, because it used to just be all loosey-goosey, open for everybody. And now it's becoming, I don't know how to bespoke to each government in each country, which only becomes more difficult in a democracy if they change the leadership, and whoever the next, leaders are of India might have totally different words and phrases that they want to ban or not ban amongst the Indian users on these apps. So it's turning into a whole crazy thing, but also it's very likely to push the issue of removing anonymity on these platforms as well. And I would really encourage a tech journalist to try and find out what is in these monthly reports that India is forcing all of the big American tech apps, the social media apps. They have to now do a monthly audit